Hi again, my name is Michael. I'm a level 2 from Indonesia, Jakarta. And currently I'm working with the distribution company for the competitor of Magic, Pokemon trading card games. Uh, I almost can't make it for today's presentation because there was actually a plan to have an event on this weekend. But luckily, or maybe not, because of the social distancing regulation uh, is become more stricter. So yeah, the event is cancelled and I can join here now. No, not Maxoff. Maxoff is for the Singapore uh, distribution. In Indonesia, it's called AKG Games. But it's still from the Pokemon company from Japan. Yeah. So anyway, let's go into the topic. Today I'm gonna talk about creating a positive online environment. So first we begin with what is a positive environment, and I'm gonna take some explanation from the dictionary definition first, and separate it into two words: the positive and environment. The word positive itself has a lot of different meaning. This is the one that I find that has the closest meaning to what we are discussing today. Positive is the noun. It means a good, affirmative, or constructive quality or attributes. And then for environment is also a noun, the surroundings or condition in which a person, animal, or plant lives or operates. Today we are focusing on the context of person and people, not animal or plants, and more about the surroundings or the place or for people to interact with each other. And we combine these two words. So positive environment means a place where people can interact with each other in a good or constructive way. Still in the definition, we also have a different source for the definition. The previous one is from the dictionary, and the next one is taken from the MTG Fostering a Positive Environment online course by Trevor Murdoch. In his course, Trevor mentions that there are three factors of positive environment. First, positive environment is one where people are able to enjoy themselves. Second, for people to be able to enjoy themselves, they need to feel welcome. And finally, to be self-sustaining, a positive environment needs to be one where the members of the community themselves have a culture of sustaining that environment. So, positive environment should be a safe space, a place where everyone is welcome and where people can enjoy themselves. And every member of that community have to work together to sustain this kind of culture. It cannot be done by just a few people, just like maybe just the mods, just the administrator of the group, uh, while all the other members are trolls or people who likes to flame or yeah, being discriminative and such. In that kind of environment, it's hard to make it into a positive environment. So everyone needs to work together in order to achieve this. An important part of a positive environment is that it is one where different types of people can find their own particular flavor of enjoyment. As I mentioned before, the safe space is meant for everyone, and we know that there are different types of people. There are different types of magic players. Well, the most famous archetype about magic players would be the Timmy, Johnny, and Spike. This is the classic archetype for the magic players. Well, Timmy is the type of people, the players that like big spells, big creatures, splashy effects. Johnny is the combo player. He likes to play with a deck that has interaction of several cards that will yeah, win the game when it's assembled. And Spike is the player who likes to play efficient decks to win games. So all these different types of player will have different needs. A positive environment is one where all kinds of players will be able to find what they enjoy, and where people would refrain from suggesting that only certain formats or decks or aspects of Magic are superior and others are derided. So a positive environment should be a place where people can have fun without being discriminated, without being persecuted. Uh, well, there are people who likes to play for the win. There are also people who like to play just to test out their own homebrew, their own yeah. Some people like the flavor and the lore, like the Vortos, and also there are people that enjoy Magic for the art. And all these aspects are what makes Magic so rich, and because it caters to a wide scope of people. Yeah, maybe in the next unset they will make a Vortos card. That's why we need to take all this into account and not to force everyone to enjoy what we like, because we have to understand that what people enjoy might be different from us. Although there are groups of people that share the same aspect that they love in Magic, but yeah, there are different types of players, as I mentioned before. So why are we discussing this for the online environment? For Magic the Gathering itself, a lot of the interaction in the community have been done through online. For examples like Facebook groups, self-blog. This as the judge Facebook group is for rules questions where anyone can ask the card interaction, and then within minutes there will be answers already, because the member is so lot. So almost at any time there will be some judges that's online, and then they will answer the questions quite uh, promptly. And then besides that, we also have the judge groups and also trading groups. Besides that, there is also online stores. Disclaimer: I'm not endorsing this. I'm just showing them as examples. After that, we also have the YouTube channels that are discussing Magic, and even our judge community also have online platforms for our community, like the Judge F from before, the current Judge Academy, and also the Judge Blogs and Cranial Insertion. This one is a website where they discuss card interactions. It's quite a good source for uh, to learn about the interaction, because it doesn't only contain the new cards, but sometimes they also have discussion for random old cards that we might never heard about. But it's good for, yeah, to learn about the rules itself. Besides that, these are all mostly groups or um, discussion, but the game itself also have a online platform like MTGO and MTG Arena. And of course, like right now, it's spoiler season for Kaldheim, and we have like website that is dedicated to share all the new cards that is being spoiled at the season at the moment. And this all this has been existing even before the pandemic, but now due to the pandemic, uh, even more interaction are cannot be carried out in the offline, so they are shifting towards the online platforms. That's why right now we are discussing this in online setting. But the philosophy itself from this presentation can also be applied in offline situations, such as your local game stores or even non-magic groups. Rules guru. Okay. So we discussed about the positive environment. So right now we're gonna discuss about the counterpart, the negative attitudes that could uh, be harmful for the positive environment. So what I'm listing here is just some examples. It's not a complete list. That maybe there are things that I failed to mention in this, but these are the general negative attitude that we could encounter online. First of all, are toxic behaviors like sexist, racist, any kind of discrimination, or simply trolling people. And then usually after that, they sometimes there's also cyberbullying. But when being encounter when we try to point it out, some of the bullies would play it off like it's just a joke and that they don't mean it. But uh, even when we don't intend to hurt someone, doesn't change the fact that our words could hurt people, and that would bring a negative experience for others people. Another example for the negative is price policy. When people try to sell stuff online, there could be comments where, "Wow, your price is so expensive. I can get that in eBay for way cheaper," or etc. This is also bad for the groups. Or being condescending towards stupid questions. Uh, yeah, if you say that it's cheaper there, you could just go buy. Okay, being condescending towards stupid questions. This is usually encountered in rules groups where some new players that is totally new, or maybe they have been taught magic in the wrong way. Like, for example, the old story that I've heard is that there are kids that is being taught that when you tap a forest, and in the older cards they have the text at with at the green mana symbol. Then the kid is told that that means you have to add the forest from your library into the battlefield. Some people are not really stupid. They just being taught in a wrong way, and sometimes we might think that the question is stupid because we understand the game more than them because we've been playing more and longer time. But for new players, some interactions are new for them. So it might look stupid for us, but it doesn't mean that it's a stupid question. And when we encounter those kind of people, we should encourage them to learn the game better and not being condescending towards them. Also, example of negative attitude is breaking the group rules. The group rules could be so wide, but some of the standard one will be no spam or sometimes no echoing all threads. For example, if the discussion has been concluded, if a rule question has been answered like a few days ago, and then some people just bump the thread by giving the same answers without adding anything new to that discussion, that's cluttering the threads and all. Maybe in certain trading groups that's solely for trading, and then some people are asking for deck building suggestions. Of course, there are some groups that are dedicated for a certain aspect. For example, the trading group or CDS group or a modern burn group. We have to understand what is the group rules if we want to post or comment in that group. So we need to read the rules and follow them. Yes, we should be. welcoming everyone, but we still have to use common sense. It doesn't mean that uh, since we welcome everyone, so it's okay to join a group for the certain LGS group, and then we join them, and then we advertise product from the another LGS or advertise events for another LGS. That's just not the right thing to do. No, I don't mean house rules. I mean like the groups for the group rules. For example, like as I mentioned, for ruling groups like the as the judge group, they have the no necroing old threads rule because it will just clutter the threads with old questions when there are new questions that haven't been answered. And lastly, something that might not be intentional but could end up affecting others negatively is the cultural differences. For example, language or custom or gestures, especially in global groups where the members are from different backgrounds, different cultures. Uh, this could be happening unintentionally. For example, I'll just take a word that is quite common in Surabaya, jancu. The word is used, I think, in a daily basis by almost everyone. But the word itself is quite offensive in Central Java, and especially in a online setting. If it's a written form, like when you're replying or commenting, we have to be careful because there's no intonation. So what we try to convey might not be what the readers perceive because they add the intonation. They perceive it the way they think it is, that but it might be different than what we are trying to say. So what should we do when we encounter this kind of negative negativity? Actually, this will depend on your role in that particular environment, and with different roles you will have different ways to handle them. So first we go to the roles. For this, since we are focusing on the online environment, I break this into three major roles. The first one, if you're only just regular members of the environment and the group, or the next one if you're contributors, for example, like article writers, it's a, content creators and stuff. And the third one is if you are the authority figures in that environment. We start with the authority figures first. As an authority figure, we as the authority figure, uh, we need to set the rules for the environment to keep the groups positive. Uh, this is the basic, the starting point. You set the rules first, and then you enforce the rules by using the tools that is available, such as banning members, or maybe just suspension, or like in Facebook group you can mute people for if they break the rules. And lastly, gatekeeping, selecting the members to accept into a group. So I did say that we should welcome everyone, make everyone feel welcome. And right now it might seem like I'm contradicting myself. But when you weigh the pros and cons, there are reasons why we need uh, gatekeeping. For example, if you're a bot for a trading group and then there's a new member request by unknown scammers, do you think we should accept that? Of course not, because the if we accept him or her, he they could uh, they could harm the current member of the groups. Or for example, if there's a new member request and then you check it and then the account is just created 2 days ago but it's already in 100 groups, we know that that's just a fake account. It's very possible that after we accept them, they will just spam the group with advertisement or whatever. Or another example is if you're creating a group chat for new players in your LGS, then a veteran player who is known to be quite aggressive heard about the group and then they request to be added into that group. Should you let them join? From my point of view, if I'm making this group chat for new players, I would want to nurture them positively, and then uh, adding this aggressive player might not be ideal for the situation, so I would decline them. And other than that, depending on the group size and the number of admins, there would be different level of should I say, like rules enforcement. For smaller groups, maybe the interaction will be more personal. Like the mods might know all the members. For example, like local game store groups where the members are the frequent customers, or local community groups where the group member are all players that have been playing together. But if it's a bigger group, the mods might not know everyone. They might not have the time to uh, contact a member that are breaking the rules, and it would be much more efficient to just give them penalties. Like if it's light infraction, they will just mute the person, or if it's bad, maybe they just kick them out of the group. Most of the group admins are volunteer work, so we can't really expect them to dedicate all their times handling each and every troublesome members. Actually, when I was starting in the being a mod in the As the Judge group, I was quite shocked by how easy the other mods are kicking or suspending the members. Yeah, because I've never been in such a big group, so I thought that if someone is yeah make a problem, we would then just warn them or that private message them and ask them to stop doing that, blah blah blah. But turns out after I'm seeing them and then after experiencing it for quite some time, yeah, if we have to do that to every single problematic members, it would take quite a lot of time. So yeah, it's much efficient to just mute them or kick them if it's quite a big problem. And for an online environment, these authority figures would be the person who have authority in that certain circle. For example, in the local local game store, the shopkeeper or the shop owner would be the figure of authority there. And next, yeah, sorry, it's a bit lagging. The next one is contributors. What I meant with contributors are like article writers, content creators for like YouTube, Twitch, or presenters in conferences such as this one. Uh, in the current society, we discuss a lot about political correctness. Some people might feel like constantly being politically correct is tiring, but it is the correct thing to do. We have to start somewhere, or else we won't be progressing. That's why we have to be selective. If we are a contributor, we have to be selective in our choice of word. Oh, okay. Let me check. Sorry, my connection is a bit low. It's a bit lagging here. while waiting for the connection. Okay, is there a scenario in which you would be inclined to add the aggressive player? Hmm. I would add the aggressive player if the group is meant for a different circle. Like if the group is a group of players who new, but they seem to be quite competitive, and it seems like they are eager to learn to uh, play competitively. Then maybe adding the aggressive player into that would be like a good whip to help them uh, learn to play faster. If I see that the group itself is capable of interacting with this player, this aggressive player. So wait, let me try again. Sorry. Okay, we have another question from around now. How do you politely tell a disruptive player to leave if other members have expressed discomfort? I would. So, is this in an offline situation? So, wait, if and if we are discussing about like in a event where a player is being disruptive, maybe I won't just ask him to leave immediately, but I will pull him over to a side and then talk to him first about the complaints that other members have expressed. Uh, but if this is about the online situation, maybe we could just private message them, and then from then we see how it goes. If he still insists on being disruptive and being the complaint is still coming, then maybe we have to pull the ban hammer on him. Okay, for online playgroup, yeah. The same. The answer is just now what I told you. We talk to him personally first and see if he can change. If he cannot change and then he keep being disruptive, uh, we have to ban him from the group as the administrator or mod. We have to, yeah, take the action for this. Okay. Uh, Thoughts on no filter people. Uh, do you mean like people who just speak without using curse words and stuff? Jonglam? Maybe you can elaborate more in the chat. Honest opinion on situations. What kind of situations are you talking about? So, if the player is just being honest, that shouldn't be a problem. But if he's being honest is like offending other people's or other customer, other players, then we need to talk with them. We have to ask them to refrain from that and to stop uh, being tactless like that. From Alvin, is slow play considered as a disruptive behavior? If yes, then how to address to this particular person to play faster politely? Like OMG, smell like onion. Yeah. Sometimes being honest isn't really a good thing if we just speak out what we think without filtering like that. It could hurt other people at times, and that would uh, ruin the positive environment. So yeah, we need to address this to the player and ask them to start filtering themselves to uh, yeah, to make it more comfortable for everyone. And if there is indeed a player who smells like onion, we should also address that problem to that player and to make sure he got uh, more better hygiene so that he won't be disrupting other people as well. And to address Alvin, slow play could be considered as disruptive because that's why it's an infraction in the IPG. And yeah, we if it's just a casual games, we need to just have a talk with him outside the game or yeah. But if it's during an event, then we should just give him the penalty, and still we have to discuss with them about this behavior and ask them to play faster. No, no. Yes, for the online environment, yeah. So if the people are the one that with no filter are commenting online, maybe we could just delete the that kind of offensive uh, honesty comments, and then contact the person to, yeah, if it's a small group and you have the time to contact them and then ask them to stop. If it's not, you can just mute them. And if they try to contact you and ask why, then you explain you're being muted because blah 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 blah, because you're offending other players, other members of the groups. um for the slow play in the online, uh I think that's not a problem because MTGO and MTGA also have the timer for each player, right? So that will not be a problem. Although, yeah, it could be annoying, but yeah, there is already a how do you say, a counter measure for that by the system itself. Let me try to share the screen again. How do you handle a group or individuals within a- the group that promote or tolerate counterfeit MTG product for casual play? Um, for casual play, eh, and counterfeit, I think that's outside of the scope of this presentation, but we cannot really control it if it's outside the sanctioned events or the in-store events. But yeah, we should uh, ask them to stop using counterfeit products. But we I don't think we can actually sanction them or punish them if they're using it outside of sanctioned events. Maybe someone else can correct me if I'm wrong about that. Okay, I think this is working now. Okay, for contributors. Okay, we were talking about political correctness. Um, yeah, that's why we have to be selective if we are being contributors, and for example, if we write articles or we make blogs or anything, uh, just because it has been okay for years doesn't mean it's really okay. Because sometimes the people who's offended, they just keep it to themselves and then they don't complain about it. But if we have already received complaints about it, that means we should change just because it has been okay for years. uh, but right now some people are offended by certain terms that it's not that hard to just change the term and then stop offending people. That's why we need to be sensitive toward others. When we we should put ourselves in others' shoes. So uh, some people might insist that I've been saying Jap cards for years. Why should I just change it into Japanese or JPN for the written form? Uh, when you don't intend to hurt people, but some people are still hurt by that remark, it's not that hard to just change the way you say things, sometimes we might accidentally still slip and say the the word that is considered as derogatory. Uh, but if we can actively try to change that, it would it would help to maintain this positive environment for everyone and to make the people that was offended being under they feel that they are understood, and then uh, yeah, they feel that they're welcome and safe there. When you don't intend to hurt people, doesn't mean that the words you say won't hurt people. For example, if I'm just washing my car in front of my house, and then I accidentally spray my neighbor when he's passing by, did I intend to spray him? Of course not. But is he still wet because of me? Yes. Just because I didn't intend to spray him doesn't change the fact that he's now wet because of my fault. So you should, uh, by putting yourself in others, uh, what I mean is like ask yourself, how would I feel if others keep saying or doing things that hurt me when there is an obvious and easy way to change that. And next is the third role, members. So some of you might say like, "Hey, Mike, I'm not a mod on any groups and I don't create any contents either. So what can I do?" This part actually applies to everyone. We just simply need to be kind to each other. It's not that uh, complex, or it's not that difficult. And if, like I said before, if there's a new member, we should just guide them. We don't need to be condescending towards them. We don't need to be mean to them. And if you don't have anything nice to say, you could just not say anything. You're not required to be mean to others, but you are actually required to be nice to others. So now we go back to the previous questions. What to do when we see that those kind of negativity? First, if you are not in any authority, you don't have any authority in the group, then the easy way is to just report it to the admin. But even if you are going to engage that person, maybe by replying him in a comment or something, remember to always stay civil and keep calm. If you keep getting aggressive, it will make the situation worse, and maybe you would also get banned by the group or something if you get aggressive. But if you are an admin, if you have the authority in that group, then you should use your admin tools. If the offense is not that bad, you can just warn the member first and tell them to stop. But if it's already pretty bad, then yeah, as I mentioned before, it's much easier to just penalize them and kick them or suspend them. So where can we apply all this? For example, in forums or groups like trading groups, roles question groups, deck building groups, or like local game store groups. In streaming like Facebook Live or YouTube or Twitch, I mean in the reply section, if you encounter this kind of problems, in this kind of negativity, you could either report it or yeah, take action for it if you're the admin. Also in group chats like WhatsApp, Line, Discord, or whatever group chats you're using, or in online events like conferences like now, or online classes, online tournaments, etc. Now, when do we need to start doing all this? We need to do it since yesterday. Uh, as I mentioned earlier in the this definition by Trevor Murdoch, everyone in the group has to work together in order to create the positive environment. And as judges, we need to always uphold this kind of mindset. We need to make this into a habit and develop this as a norm. I understand that we have our own views, values, and preferences, but it doesn't mean that we can force other people to have the same values and to accept our values. For example, if I like playing aggro decks, it doesn't mean that people who like combo decks should stop and they have to change their deck into aggros. Or just because some people like playing EDH, it doesn't mean that people who enjoys casual games are wrong for not playing an efficient deck. Things like that. All these differences among the members is inevitable. You cannot help it. When you gather a group of people, there sure gonna be some differences among them. That's why we need to create the positive environment while considering everyone in that environment. How to accommodate everyone and guide everyone to be nice and to make everyone feel welcome and to let them enjoy themselves. Okay, that's all from me.